All right, welcome back to the channel. So for all of you who are wondering what the heck's going on, so I had the last live stream got cut out. My internet right before the stream started, my internet started being weird, and then in the middle of the round table, it cut out. So for those of you watching this second try, this is the second attempt at the Dekoders live stream. And once again, we're going to bring some people on. So let's try this again. Hopefully we can get some people in the chat. Thank you guys so much for putting up with this. It's I know it's annoying. I'm not sure what's going on. Let's see. Thank you guys for coming back. I appreciate you guys being so dedicated. Yeah, but my internet is still being super slow. I can't even load stuff on my phone right now. So weird, man. Can you guys hear me? Give me a thumbs up in the chat if you guys can hear me. Everything is being so slow. Yeah, okay, thank you. Thank you guys. Appreciate that. Thanks, Wormy Dog. Thanks, Coffee Girl. Thanks, Debbie. Thanks, Star Vega, Big Apple, JJ Recon, Visionary Vet. Thank you all. All right, let me put the invite link back in the chat. Let's get some people back on here. Thank you, Pete. So anyway, we're going to try this again, and we'll get some more people back on. And in the last stream, we were talking a bit about whales, and Ned was talking about whales. But I had a bit of something I wanted to talk about also, so we'll probably cover that. All right, thank you. Thank you for letting me know. This stream might not be as big as before. I only got 29 people in here now. I had almost 100 before. Is anyone even back in the chat? Yeah, I mean, hopefully everyone shows back up. We had a good turnout. Okay,
Through the word out
Demonstrator's
that
back.
you put in a new StreamYard link, so hopefully they can pop over here soon.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I think this one, everything's still being very slow. On my end, I keep, on the last stream, everything kept cutting in and out, and then it just dropped out completely. So hopefully it's done doing that. Hopefully Casey comes back also, and Ned. I don't know, were they still in talking with you when you?
Yeah, I mean, I just told them on my way out, like, hey, check Cody's channel. So hopefully they do pop in.
Okay. All right. Well, I guess we'll let you. Was there anything you had on your mind today? Any decodes, any numbers, any symbolism, whatever?
Well, not a whole ton. I did a little bit of work on last weekend's second assassination attempt on Trump at the golf course in West Palm Beach, which is in the Miami area. And there's been a lot of Miami stuff going on in the news. We had the injury in the NFL, Tua Tagovailoa getting hurt against the Bills, and now they're talking about potentially him retiring. That was a big deal. And then just the other night, Shohei Ohtani had what people are calling the best offensive game in baseball history in the city of Miami. So actually, my last video from yesterday was about the connection of that event to the old film Moon Over Miami, which came out the same year as Pearl Harbor. And of course, Ohtani, a Japanese superstar. So there's been a lot of riddling with Miami. And Miami's a city that's very coated with the moon to begin with. So a lot of tie-ins there, and as I've been really diving in deeply this year, the connections to motor racing with a lot of these events are way deeper than I ever would have guessed before I started decoding it. And so I also did a little bit of work explaining some riddles with that. F1 in Singapore this weekend is really interesting. But yeah, back in 2021, Cody, I don't know if you recall, it's probably around the time you started, when there was a triple murder in Georgia at a golf course. And this was a really strange news story, and it involved.
Isn't that the one you talked about?
Yeah, there was a former golf pro named Gene Siller who was killed in this incident. And I looked back on it, and the guy who perpetrated that triple murder was named Brian Roden. And now the new perpetrator last weekend was named Ryan. And we get this trial of Brian Koberger back in the news. And you realize this is all connected to what I was talking about after the Georgia shooting, because the governor of Georgia is named Brian Kemp, and WWE has a new pay-per-view next month on the anniversary of the death of Brian Pillman, who shares a birthday with Bryan Danielson, who just won the AEW championship. So my last super stream is called the Brian Files, because this name has been trending like mad.
And of course, the funny thing is, I was typing in Bad Blood, and it reminds me of this Kendrick Lamar song with Taylor Swift. I need to look into this. I know it's tied to this Bad Blood thing coming up.
It's got to be. It's got to be.
Because, and I just feel like with Taylor, I'm just wondering if there's going to be a Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift romance breakup, and that's going to be the Bad Blood thing. Maybe. I don't know. And remember, Bad Blood is on Travis Kelce's birthday.
Right. Yeah, that's huge.
So, I mean, how much more obvious does it get? I mean, she has this song Bad Blood with Kendrick Lamar. And of course, this name has been very popular with all the Lamar stuff going on. And
wasn't he just announced as a Super Bowl halftime performer?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That I was looking at this before they announced him as the halftime performer. And then as soon as they announced him, I was like, oh man, there's got to be something getting ready to go down with this song, especially being on Travis Kelce's birthday and Bad Blood. I don't even know when I haven't looked into Kendrick Lamar at all yet, but super interesting with that. But and did you see that whole thing with that like super nice put together like trailer thing with Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes?
Yeah, actually I did just this morning.
Yeah, and I watched that video because there's the song that they put in there was the I Am the Storm, and of course that completely connects with Trump. And Trump got his mugshot in Atlanta, and then both those guys, if you really think about it, all like the big stars have some sort of connection to Atlanta. And Cody Rhodes obviously from there. Roman Reigns played football there. Another big person from there is AJ Styles. So you have like a lot of Atlanta stuff going on, and something with Atlanta, which I think kind of connects to Atlantis. I think there's an Atlantis connection there somehow.
And I always think of WCW. I mean, they were headquartered in Atlanta, so it seems like a lot of the wrestling world revolves around that area.
Yeah, of course, CNN's there too.
Oh, but of course.
So. And with the Miami thing, though, you were talking about, something I noticed recently is I was looking at the word Miami and I realized it has the I am in it. And I talk about this often, the I am in the Bible. God said to Moses, I am that I am. And this is like a huge code, like especially with something I realized on the periodic table with the two elements that spell out I am, which is iodine and americium. And Miami is literally the words I am. You can't spell any other word other than the I am with it, And it makes sense why Trump is based out of there, because when you combine, let me see if I can do it here real fast. When you combine the iodine, and americium. Americium. Can't even spell that
The
word.
two elements add to 148, which is Donald J. Trump in ordinal.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was going to show you. So look here.
Ah.
This is actually even on this. I didn't know. I didn't expect to find this. Put this picture put together on here, but it is. So this is pretty crazy what I found with this. See, this guy on Twitter or something made this graphic, and that's how I started looking into it. And then he missed a big part of this, like what you just said. The two numbers of these elements add up to 148. Well, not only that, but the two masses add up to this 369. Okay, and so and not to mention that there's this huge Sirius connection here too with the 95. Sirius equals 95. America, based off of Freemasonry, which has a lot of ties to the dog star Sirius. And also, it's got a 243 weight, like the Central Intelligence Agency equals 243. And Venus has that 243 connection as well. But anyway, when you add the two numbers up, 53 plus, like Derek just said, 53 plus 95 are the weights of iodine and americium. And that equals 148. Okay. And so what's crazy is when you type iodine, americium, if I can spell, look at what you get, man.
Amazing.
Like, come
and
on.
the 95
like,
too.
And 95, yeah. And it's just crazy. Like the two elements add up to 48, their numbers, and then in gematria, their two names add up to 148. It's like, what? And of course, the reason, like I was telling you, Donald J. Trump, of course you know that, but I'm just going to show them. Donald J. Trump 148 in the same cipher. And not only that, but his book, The Art of the Deal, 148. So yeah, something with this, the I am, and then of course that ties back to Miami because Miami is the I am city, and Trump is pretty much based out of there. I mean, I know he's a bit north of that where he bases himself, but might as well be Miami.
Yeah.
And of course, I-95, I talked about that in my last decode. I-95 was a big part of that because it runs right through there. So there's your 95 AM americium. So anyway, I've got more research to do on that, but there's probably a whole nother layer to add. And the 369 code, of course, is also interesting. Because now Trump is teaming with Elon Musk, who's tied to Tesla, and now you have Nikola Tesla's 369 code. But yeah, that's just what I intended to make a whole video about that, but it's something that I want to look more into.
And Miami is big in racing too, because one of the 3 F1 races each year is held in Miami. And this year, it was one day after Star Wars Day when they re-released The Phantom Menace Episode 1 into theaters. Mark Hamill visited the White House, and then a guy named Lando won the race in Miami.
Oh, really? Lando, like Lando Calrissian, huh?
Exactly. And then just last week, we had the death of James Earl Jones, the voice of Darth Vader. Just as all of this stuff with Miami was going on. And I just wanted to share this quick because it kind of tripped me out. I mean, this kind of stuff happens all the time, but every time I see it, it still blows me away. Back in May, I did this post, which I believe proved that this turbulence event on a Singapore Airlines plane where one person died and a whole bunch of people were hurt. And I made a post after this happened in May, and I explained how it's all connected to F1 and the death of Ayrton Senna. And for those who don't know, Senna was like the superstar of Formula One, and his death is numerically connected to Kobe Bryant. who was, of course, near the top of his fame shortly after his career when he died. But the big connection was that this happened 30 years and 21 days after Senna died. And Senna was born on 321. And this is a number we've seen with air disasters, because Manhattan and Seattle both equal 321, Seattle the home of Boeing. And the flight number was 321. And
Yeah, that's a huge code in airplane crashes too. I see so many 123 321 codes in airplane stuff.
right. So this was all Singapore Airlines. And my post in May was about, hey, this is connected to the Singapore Grand Prix. So I made this post reminding everybody, hey, there's some interesting alignments with particularly Max Verstappen, who just happened to qualify second today. But after I did this post, I got up, I walked around, I came back, and I sat down and I went to CNN. And look at the headline CNN had at that time: a new twist in a turbulent race. And I just got done talking about how this race is a riddle for the turbulence event. And I was like, man, what are the odds of that? Is this a little script change or what's happening here?
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty crazy. I mean, that and somebody in the chat reminded me, that reminds me of the Donnie Darko thing I just talked about, because that Donnie Darko it starts with the plane crash, but that's also, that eclipse that's coming up is on that anniversary, the 36th anniversary of the day that happens in the movie. So like turbulence, plane crash, turbulent race. And of course, Casey, he's in here now, but he's been talking about how tomorrow Trump turns 325 Mercury, and his Mercury account has been connected to plane crashes. So I wonder if we'll get something tomorrow.
Yeah, I'll run over that real quick. So the first crash I noticed that with was Flight 302 on March 10th of 2019. He turned 302 Mercury years old that day. And then the next one was on the 2nd of this year. He turned 322 Mercury years old. And there was a collision in Japan. So so maybe tomorrow. We'll see what happens tomorrow.
If you go back to January 2nd, Trump turned 322 Mercs old. And we had a plane crash. It was, like Bobby mentioned, it was a Japan Airlines in Haneda that crashed on landing. And it was the same thing when he was 302 mercurial years old. And we had the Flight 302 right around that same time. And it was all synced up with Obama also. Obama equals 32. He's a Leo, which is 32. So I feel like it's almost guaranteed that we'll see something with the plane in the news pretty soon. As far as the 325, this is a big Scottish Rite of Freemasonry number, among other things.
Well, you know what I'm also thinking too, something interesting to think about is wait till, I wonder if there's something, not to overlook the 325, but the 326 was the bridge collapse this year. So once he turned 326, because that's interesting to think about.
Yeah, and one thing I want to throw out here before I finish talking about this is that, the race is in Singapore, which has the full name Republic of Singapore. And Republic of Singapore has that 777 Latin value. And the turbulence event was a 777 aircraft. And Singapore is 139, which was Max's age for that event. He also had the 973, which I've been following for weeks because that's all connected to 9/11. But if you measure from the very first flight of a 777 to tomorrow's date for the race, 11,060 days, which is an upside down 9/11. And later this year, there's a new miniseries called Senna coming out on Netflix. And the actor who plays Senna, his full name equals 1106. And he was 9 months and 11 days when Senna died on a date with 119 numerology. And then the Senna thing comes out during lunation 1260, which is the Latin value of September 11th. So I can't properly describe how big of a riddle this is. how long
Yeah.
it's been going on. We'll see if Max actually wins. I certainly hope he does, but you measure from the death of Senna to tomorrow, exactly 1,586 weeks. Max Emilian Verstappen is 1,586. And then you look at his age, and it all syncs up with Jesus, the gematria of turbulence. It's wild.
It's those 5, 8, 9 combinations again. So
Hey Cody, real quick, Trump turns 326 on December 19th. Just so happens to be Jake Gyllenhaal's 44th birthday. Of course, you were just talking about Donnie Darko, so I'm gonna throw that out there.
on his birthday, really? That's interesting.
Gyllenhaal is Welsh as well.
Gyllenhaal?
Yeah, it's a Welsh surname. It's Gyllenhaal.
Yeah. I see. Yeah. And he plays Donnie Darko. That is interesting that it falls on his birthday, the 326, and yeah, that's something more to look into too. And then this eclipse that's coming up, I wonder how many days the eclipse is before that date, because that's the 36-year anniversary of that movie date. So,
Wait, which date am I measuring to?
just the eclipse coming up, the October 2nd eclipse to the date, Gyllenhaal's birthday. Oh, like Trump's 78 years old right now. I don't know. I like how Jake Gyllenhaal has his birthday, Trump's birthday. Look at that.
Yeah, and remember 9/11, the 254th day of the year, which is the reverse value of Jake Gyllenhaal. Donnie Darko, a 2001 film.
Yeah, that's interesting. Good find, Casey, with that one. But yeah, I guess we got to wait and see what happens on the 325 first, because that's also, that's something I think about with the 325. That has the magic square connection to Mars. The Mars magic square, right? Is that, am I right on that, Casey? 325? I'm pretty sure that's what it is.
Yeah, it's one of the numbers with it.
Yeah. Also, that's Biden's full name equals 325, I believe. I think it's one of Biden's full
yeah, sorry
names.
about that. Yeah, 325 is some of the magic square of Mars. Also on Saturday, I did a short video talking about how the moon is going to be occulting the Pleiades, and I did a series of videos kind of going over the Golden Gate of the ecliptic, which is the area between the Pleiades and the Hyades. So they could represent the two towers of the Golden Gate Bridge. So in a way, the one of the towers is taking a direct hit from the moon on tomorrow.
Speaking of which, Casey, I want to talk about this while you're on here, because you really did nail it with this 1080. How the Golden Gate Bridge turned 1080 on the 19th or 20th, depending on how you look at it. And you had that red bridge collapse. Okay, so you had the red bridge collapse in Canada, right? And of course, the Golden Gate Bridge is red. And in gematria, Golden Gate equals 1080. And, well, the red bridge that collapsed, okay, the phrase that they were using, I had this pulled up in the beginning of, I can take my screen back for a second if you want.
Yeah, go for it.
Derek. Because I had this pulled up, and I just kind of wanted to show people like how this lunar phase count was really crazy with what he was talking about. Let's see. So the red bridge destroyed. So everyone that yesterday when I looked at it, everyone was saying the red bridge in cam loops. And this is an interesting word too. Cam, like it reminds me of Kamala loops. But the loops is also interesting considering all the pi riddles, the circles, that might be a connection with races even. Racetracks are loops, right? Big loops.
Yeah, could be.
So, but the Red Bridge and Kamloops, BC, destroyed by fire. Pretty much every destroyed by fire, destroyed by fire. Everyone was saying that phrase, destroyed by fire. And what's crazy, let me go back. 1080, 180, 135, and 81. So look at this. Again, as Derek just showed, the Golden Gate Bridge turned 1080 lunar phases yesterday, or the 19th. And on the 19th, you had the Red Bridge destroyed by fire. That was the phrase they were using. And destroyed by fire equals Golden Gate Bridge in two ciphers, and it equals 1080, just like Golden Gate.
Who's ever even heard of a bridge being destroyed by a fire before? That's such a strange.
Yeah,
concept.
I mean, they were using this. They were using this phrase over and over everywhere. Destroyed by fire. Destroyed by fire. Right here. See?
Like, why
I
are the
think
bridges made of flammable materials?
I think it
Yeah.
represents, again, the Ark of the Covenant, because it's a red bridge, which, if you can imagine, like in your brain, like connecting the left and the right side, it's a bridge, and then it's destroyed by fire, which is like the Ark of the Covenant, which they kind of show in the Temple of Doom with Indiana Jones, where they're in that temple, and then all of a sudden, like, the fire kind of wipes out all of the enemies, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Big burst of light. Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, that's a good point. But look at this. It was 90 years old. Perfect. That goes perfectly
Gate.
because it's 1080. Yeah, Golden Gate equals 90, like the moon. The moon equals 90 in the same cipher as Golden Gate. And we're talking about the moon phase. And what was else I going to say? It was 90, and yeah, so it's perfect. Like 90-year-old bridge. It was opened in 1936, the year the Pope was born. And I've been talking all about how Pope Francis is connected to the Golden Gate. So it didn't give me, I wish it gave me the exact date that this bridge opened, because that would be, it just gives me 1936. I wish it gave me a date so I could measure. But
This is
sometimes you got to go with the January 1st of that year. Like, if you measure from January 1st of that year to Friday, you get 32,405 days, and you just mentioned the 405.
This is how I see the 405. Like, if you drop the 0, you've got 45, and 4 is as in 4, and then 5 is like a pentagon. It's got 5 sides, and pen is head in Welsh. So when I see 405 or 45, I kind of see it relating to sealed on the forehead or something connected to that.
yeah, well, that's a good addition, because I was just getting ready to say that in gematria, the word bridge, well, the reason I didn't actually talk about 405, but it's interesting that all the numbers that I was using here add up to 405.
Yeah, it's interesting.
But what I was going to say is bridge has a huge connection to the number 45, because bridge equals 45. And if you measure the lunar count from the beginning of that year, that bridge that just well, look at that. The first lunation of that year was in 161. There's your golden ratio connection. But yeah, 1097 is like 197. That's the 45th prime number, which is bridge. So I find that super interesting as well.
A few years ago, I made a post specifically about the number 405.
Really?
Because this is a number that seems to reset the eclipse cycles, almost, you could say.
Uh-huh.
Like, if you look at the point of greatest eclipse, and then fast forward 405 lunar phases, sometimes you'll get a total eclipse that it almost intersects that exact spot. So, like, right here, this eclipse that we had in April, it was 405 lunar phases after the middle eclipse from July of 91. And you see these spots are like right next to each other.
Uh-huh.
And this goes for other eclipses too. So it seems like a 405 is like a lunar cycle of sorts with eclipses. And on the West Coast, the 405 is one of the busiest freeways in the world too.
Right, that's pretty crazy. I didn't know anything about that number. So it's interesting that it came up.
Yeah, I mean, it's not too often I find a specific number to make a post about like this, but it just stuck out to me because the intersections are so clean, you know?
Yeah, and think about this too. During that same day that this bridge collapsed in Canada, this red bridge, you had Shohei Ohtani having his massive game, and the announcers in the game actually mentioned the number 135. Go back and watch the highlight. The guy mentions the number 135, and that was the number I was looking for because that's the gematria of Golden Gate Bridge, and that's the gematria of what I showed you a bit ago. That's the gematria of if you type in red bridge destroyed by fire equals 135 in two ciphers.
Yep.
So all that stuff happened on that same day, and that's why I was like,
Have you tapped this in, Cody? Paul Matrix.
Paul Matrix?
Yeah.
Paul Matrix like this?
Oh, what? Who's Paul Matrix? How'd you know that one? What's Paul Matrix?
Well, my name's Paul.
Oh, your name's Paul. Okay, Paul Matrix. Okay, interesting.
Nice.
Visionary Vet says Neuralink equals 405. Interesting. Huh. Derek might have something to look at with that with the 405.
Oh, the gears are turning.
Looks. It has the 138 too. Interesting. I'm always looking for that number.
If you put the Welsh name Yesu for Jesus, IESU, and you do Paul Yesu Matrix. So just do Paul and then Matrix. 189, 189, reverse and forward. And I kind of look at that as like the pi matrix, PI. You see?
Yeah. PI.
You got pi.
That actually reminds me too, the same day that this happened, we had the release of that Katy Perry album 143, which is of course the first digits of pi. And she looks like she's coming through a portal, or kind of what you would say a black hole or a golden gate. And so I was going to release something on that at some point too. Because did you know that this album was released exactly 143 years after the assassination of James A. Garfield?
Really?
Yep.
Oh, that's big.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty clear right there.
Yeah, and that's funny because, you know, the video for Woman's World came out the same weekend as the Trump assassination attempts. And
and she's been releasing her 3 different songs, and I think her last one came out like 2 days before or a couple days before the second attempt. So
yeah, and a month before Trump reportedly got shot in the ear, I made this post connecting James Garfield to Donald Trump.
Yeah,
his
I remember
name is
that.
666. And he
If
died
you use the
6 days
bacon,
after turning 666 months old. Sorry, go on.
I was just gonna say, if you use the bacon cipher I've been using, the bacon simple cipher that takes the I and the J and just gives them the same value, and the U and the V. Mm-hmm. James, his full name, James Abram Garfield, equals 138.
Oh.
Which of course is the Donald Trump number, and also Katy Perry's real name in that same cipher, Katie Hudson, equals 138 in that cipher.
Yeah, that's her huge number.
Or yeah, it wasn't in that cipher; it was in the regular ordinal cipher. So yeah,
and
then
don't forget, September 20th is the birthday of the Trump shooter, Matthew Crooks.
Oh yeah, of course, that makes complete sense. And that portal she's coming through, right? Of course it's a Venus connection, but that portal earlier today, Casey did a video about the Golden Gate. What was it, Casey? The center of the ecliptic. What was that called again? I can't remember. The galactic center. And if you look up the galactic center, it's the Sagittarius A, and it shows a portal that looks exactly like or very similar to what she's coming through there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad you mentioned that. I was talking to somebody at work this morning about the galactic center. I showed in my video how the Golden Gate Bridge, the opening ceremony, the sun was in the Golden Gate of the ecliptic, the moon was in the Golden Gate of the Milky Way. And if you remember in iPet Goat, at the end of iPet Goat, Jesus is in that boat, and that's where he's headed. In the sky, he's headed to that area of the sky where the Golden Gate is. And supposedly, when Jesus returns, he will return through the Golden Gate.
And don't you think that looks very similar to the picture they give us in the Sagittarius A?
Yeah.
If you type Sagittarius A, Derek,
Sure,
type in, and you'll see that it looks really similar to that.
And remember too how Pope Francis is connected to Sagittarius A, because if you go through the past 100 years, for the majority of that time, Sagittarius A was at 266 degrees of the ecliptic. I don't remember exactly when it moved to 267. Pope Francis is the 266th Pope, and his birthday, 1217, is around the time that the sun is passing by, coming into conjunction with the Sagittarius A.
Yeah, that's super interesting. Like I wanted to put a whole, like, this video is like, this isn't my decode on it, but I'm definitely going to put some videos together talking about this. I haven't really looked more into it yet, but it seems super interesting. I don't know if everyone in the chat agrees, but I think it looks very similar to what she's coming through there. Of course, they have it shaped like the heart for a reason too, because it's also a Venus thing. But now we got 7-1 in the chat.
Hey guys.
How's it going, man?
what's up?
Oh, good. I just I'm sitting here listening to you guys talk about the bridge stuff, and I heard Paul. He talked about the Ark of the Covenant, and it immediately reminded me of the Arctic Bridge in Canada. Since we were talking about that other bridge in Canada, the Arctic Bridge is the imaginary path through Hudson Bay. And I heard you guys mention Kate Hudson or something too, so just had to put my 2 cents in there for that.
Another thing with the Ark is, if you take a bird's eye view of the Arc de Triomphe in Paris, what you'll notice is that it's placed on a roundabout, which kind of represents the throne in your brain, like the center of the brain. And the arc is basically showing that the arc is received in the brain. And then you've got 12 roads that lead out from that roundabout, which is like the 12 pathways, the 12 cranial nerves, the 12 disciples, and that kind of stuff. So it's showing you that the arc of the covenant, which is the Arc de Triomphe, the triumphant arc, it's just hidden knowledge that's just been in plain sight for ages and ages.
Yeah, definitely. Everywhere, just things that you can pick up on that are just hidden in plain sight, I guess, would be the...
Yeah. Once you find one piece, the rest just keep coming.
So, 7, is there anything, or Derek, is there anything you guys can talk about, whatever you want, but just wondering if 7 has anything specific you wanted to share, or Derek, I don't know how long you have left.
Yeah, I was muted there, but I was just about to say that I'm gonna have to bounce out of here in a minute.
Okay.
So thanks for letting me ramble for the time I was on here.
Yeah, no problem. I'm just glad we got at least a chance to do it a bit, because I thought my stream wasn't even going to work. So,
Well,
but guys, make sure you guys go check out his channel, Gematria85. Always putting out good decodes and stuff over there. So make sure you guys go check him out as usual. And yeah, thanks, Derek, a lot. Appreciate you.
All right. Much appreciated. Much love, guys. And look forward to doing this again soon.
Yeah,
All
take
right,
care.
man. Take care.
All right, everyone. Take it easy. Later.
Bye.
See you. All right. Well, take my screen back here. So let's see. I want to go to the chat for a minute because there's some people in the chat saying some things. Kimberly's saying Ouroboros equals 138. Yep. Ouroboros 138, like Donald Trump.
I noticed somebody in the
Of course,
chat
that's
earlier. They mentioned with the 1080, the radius of the moon is 1,080 miles.
right. Yeah. That's what I forgot to mention when we were going over that 1080, but that's just even more crazy. I mean, that was just such a dead on thing that you found there right before with the 1080. It was crazy. And when that bridge thing happened, and I didn't even look for it myself, someone in my comments said something about that collapsing. And then when I looked into it, I was like, oh my goodness. And then the fact that destroyed by fire equals 1080 is it's just still insane to me. Also, let's see. What was I going to say now? I forgot I was going to say something.
Yeah, you were going through the chat, I think. Right?
Yeah, I'm trying to find the comment. Oh, considering that Katy Perry's, I wanted to bring up Joseph's comment. Considering that Katy Perry's album came out on the 20th, that was the shooter of Trump, the first shooter. That was his birthday. And of course, his birthday, 9/20/03, was the 8888 prime number. So that's a good addition. And somebody also mentioned that Donald Trump today, he's 25.89 days. Is that true? Hold on, let me look at this. If that's true, that's interesting. Yeah, look at that. He's 28.589 days. Of course, 589 is the huge number I've talked about here on this channel. And Donald Trump equals 589. And that's a huge number with XRP, the cryptocurrency, the United States, the 589. The day of the Trump shooting, the first shooting, the United States was 90,589 days old. So today, Trump is 28,589 days old. So thanks to whoever shared that in the chat. And guys, please hit the like buttons too, because before we had, just try to get the likes back up, because before the stream ended last time, we had a lot of likes, but then they got taken away. So 7-1. Go ahead, Casey.
I was going to mention something I talked to Bobby about this morning that has to do with the Golden Gate Bridge. Is that Andreas Lubitz crashed an airplane into a mountain and back in 2015. I don't remember if you remember that German wing story.
Oh, yeah, I vaguely remember it because I wasn't really doing any looking, but hold on. What's the guy's name?
Andreas Lubitz. Well, anyways, when they, after he crashed that plane into a mountain, they released a bunch of pictures, but it showed him with a picture of the Golden Gate Bridge in the background as one of his, pictures that they put all over the news and stuff. And the flight number was 9525. And Bobby had mentioned, I never put this together, but he had said that it looks like a date, 9525. So I believe if you put in your calculator the date of the crash, the date of the crash was 3/28/2015. 3/24. I can't remember exactly, but like March 24th, 2015 to 9/5/2025. I think it's 17 Venus years exactly. I'd have to maybe double check. But I just thought that was
Yeah.
interesting, and Andreas, that has an earthquake connection, like the San Andreas Fault, and his name is Andreas. So I just thought that was kind of an interesting connection since you guys were on the Golden Gate Bridge there.
Let's see. It was 3/24/2015 to 9/5, or which date did you say to go to?
Yeah, 9/5/2025, and I didn't write it down. Maybe that's not the right span, but there was a connection with exactly 17 Venus years with that 9/5/25 date, I believe. Yeah, maybe not. I like I said, I need to write stuff down as I think about it, but I just reminded me of that crash, that German wings, because he had his picture with the Golden Gate, and Bobby had mentioned the Golden Gate has two posts. There's just so much symbolism with the Golden Gate lately.
I think my girlfriend was looking into this because she was taking a flight the other day on Condor, and she was freaking out, and I told her just don't freak out, and then she starts looking into plane crash stuff before she's going on the flight. I don't know why she does that. But she starts doing that, and I told her don't do that, just fly. And then she finds out that the guy's birthday that owns the company was 201 days before she was flying, and then she got even more afraid because we know the 201 stuff. And then she started noticing that it was the Condor, and I noticed that Condor was the same as eclipse, and she was flying like right before the eclipse, and Condor equals eclipse. And then that was right after the whole golf thing with Trump, and I just found out that in golf there's something called a Condor, and so the whole thing was like freaking her out. But yeah, it was just interesting because she was also connecting this flight, this German wings flight, and I haven't really looked so much into this before, but super interesting. And Andreas Lubitz equals 152 again. There's that number again. But yeah, I'll have to look more into that.
Yeah, I just thought it was interesting since the Golden Gate connection, and then I know you did a video a few weeks ago about the monkeypox, and then that 138, I know you mentioned that with archaics before, that 138-year span, the Phoenix span. But what's interesting that I wanted to mention is that the United States was founded in a monkey year, and it was a fire monkey, and that 2040 date is going to be a metal monkey year. So, and it's going to begin on 2/12/2040 is going to be the beginning of a metal monkey year. And that 212 was the that's the zip code or the area code of New York where 9/11 happened. And I haven't been able to kind of flesh it out on my channel. I've been so busy, but I was going to do some videos about the monkey stuff. And I've actually, on my community post, I put a bunch of monkey kind of things on there like a year ago, because I just kind of saving my spot when I get around to making a video about it. But that 2040 is an interesting number too, because that is the proclamation that the president made that he is took over all the publicly registered property in the United States, back in 1933. So that 2040 has a huge presidential connection, when you're looking at all these Trump attempts and things like that. But another span of that 138 years is, the U.S. began taking census data in 1902. And
Right.
that was, the same year that, supposedly was this last Phoenix event. So, and then birth certificate, they used all the birth certificate or census data to completely federalize the birth certificates in 1907. So I just, there's something to the presidential connection and, the Proclamation 2040 that's still in effect, which has never been canceled. So, but a huge presidential connection to the president, and then, the publicly registered property, especially with the birth certificates. And, there's a whole law thing. You can't even, just this morning I was looking at the instruction manual for my backup computer drive, and then it says in there what you can and can't litigate regarding their product. You know, I mean, everything you do has something with the law. So
Right.
it's just, you know, I think it's a area that most people kind of shy away from, but they don't know how it's affecting their lives. So, but yeah, I just like to mention that 138-year span and the two monkey years, especially the fire monkey and the metal monkey. And then you had mentioned monkeypox and the movie Monkey Shines. I don't know. I think it's an 80s horror movie, but in that movie, they have a like a vaccine in that movie. So if you ever go watch a preview for it, it's kind of interesting. So I just wanted to touch a little bit on the monkey stuff in the United States.
Yeah, I mean, that's interesting with the monkey thing about the year. I never even thought to look what the United States, what the Chinese year was in the year it was founded. But considering that, there's probably a whole nother, I did a bunch of videos on the monkey stuff, but I kind of shied away from it, but because I didn't want to do too many on the monkey stuff, but I think there's a way more to find with that. And I still think that the eclipse coming up on Pi Day next year is going to tie with the monkeypox thing. But it is in the 138, like you said, that Jason from Archaics has discovered, and again, I can't really argue his points because he's somebody that has the research and the papers and the videos to back it up and to show. It's just that it takes a lot of time to go through and actually verify that for yourself. But he has done a very intricate look into our reality and basically all the years that he's discovered are connected. Reset events are connected to the 138-year periods. And I just find it interesting that the most famous person on the world stage right now has that gematria of 138, or Boris equals 138, like a reset, and now this monkeypox thing. So yeah, that's definitely something to think about with the monkey, because that could be the missing piece I was not seeing with the monkey connecting to that, because I didn't even look to see what the Chinese year was in 2040. Which
Yeah, if you watch Casey, I think he was the first one to do a video on it, but Bruce Willis was the same, was it Mercury age that on 9/11 as JFK was when he was assassinated. And then Bruce Willis, he was in the movie 12 Monkeys, which was kind of apocalyptic, had to do with like I think a virus, whatever, but 12 monkeys, 12 monkey years would be 12 times 12, so 144 years. Yeah, I always thought I should look into that 12 Monkeys movie with Bruce Willis a little bit more, because he's so connected to JFK and 9/11 with his Mercury age. So, but yeah, all the monkey stuff I think there's a lot more to it. And like I said, I've been looking into it myself, but I mean, like I said, I can only do things only so much with my time. So, but definitely worth something to look into. Yeah, because I know when you did that monkeypox video, it really kind of sparked my interest again in the monkey stuff.
Something I did never really share, but it kind of connects to what we're talking about right now. So there's this movie called Room 1408, and it has the key on it. And,
is that Samuel L. Jackson?
Yeah, and Cusack or whatever his name is.
Oh yeah, John Cusack. Yep.
But what's crazy is it has the key right on it. And I was talking about how the monkeypox was all connected to the moon key. And so the date that monkeypox...
It's also the Mon key, MON. And that relates to Wales, where there's a place called Monmouth. And there's a great channel called Biblical Britain Decoded. And he draws a lot of interesting maps on top of Wales, and he gets the Star of David and the moon and Leviathan, and he connects all of these like places and stuff like that using Google Maps. And some of the stuff he comes up with is incredible.
What's the name of the channel again?
Biblical Britain Decoded.
I see. Okay. Yeah, I'll have to write. I'm gonna have to look. I always like to follow new channels like that, so I'll have to try to find.
He's hidden. He's hidden because for a very good reason. If you cotton onto what he's saying, like he's a little bit confused about what's going on, I think, but he's a very interesting person at this time, just like you
Okay.
guys are. But he's definitely worth looking into.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, Cody, the name of that female actor in 1408, you just talked about the 148 too, which is interesting, but that female actor, I can't remember her name, but she has a connection to something that if you brought her name up, I could probably jog my memory, but yeah, that female actor in 1408, she has a connection that I just can't think of right now.
The female actor in this movie?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's 1408, because isn't he trying to get in touch with his wife, or I can't remember how that all works, but her last name, it had something to do with Chicago or something. I can't remember.
This girl here, McCormick?
Oh yeah, McCormick. Yeah, McCormick Place is in Chicago. Yep, that's who it was. It's like, yep. And then, in Chicago, one of the most popular movies that has to do with Chicago is the Blues Brothers. Back in the 70s. And I think that movie starts out with the bridge, like the drawbridge, is lifting, and all the cars get knocked off the drawbridge, and then they ramp over it. Yeah, I always just think of that that beginning of that movie, because that drawbridge is it's a pretty famous scene with that. And then they have the huge car chase through Chicago at the end of the movie, trying to get to the county recorder's office, or trying to get something done. I can't remember what it is, but yeah, that another bridge connection.
Yeah, I was trying to remember what it was. I was thinking, okay, here it is. So I just wanted to show, because this movie's called literally 1408, right? So the monkeypox was declared on, you could say that's 1408 if you write the date like that. So what's crazy is, from this release date of this movie, 1408, to the monkeypox, June 22nd, 2007, to 1408 this year. It's the 814th prime number, like the date.
Oh wow, that is crazy.
Like, so it's the date. Like, this is literally could also be written 814, just in England, and like in most of the world they would write it 148. And if you go from that date to the 148 monkeypox, you get the 814.
A couple of 148s I remember are Donald J. Trump 148, and I believe Morning Star is 148 as well.
Yeah, it is Morning Star. And Casey, did you see the thing I showed earlier?
I'm not sure. I keep getting booted off because my phone is it gets overheated. It's 93 degrees here today. So.
Oh yeah, I get it. So the two, okay, so the IAM elements, iodine and americium, spell out IAM. Their two numbers, 53 and 95, they sum to 148. Okay? And if you type the two elements' names in gematria, it equals 148. Like, I still can't get over that.
Can I drop a chemical bomb?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Okay, so if I'm trying to say that Charles Windsor is Cain and Satan incarnate, right? Now Charles was born in 48, right?
Yeah.
So if we take calcium, the 20th element, and we take nickel, which is the 28th element. Sorry, the 26th element. No, the 28th. 20 and 28, yeah. So calcium's 20 and nickel is 28. That gives you CANI. And if you anagram that, that gives you Cain. And that equals 48.
Wait, what equals one? What equals 48?
20 plus 28, nickel plus calcium.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Calcium's the 20th element, and nickel is the 28th.
Right.
So if you add them two together, and then if you want a nuclear bomb, you can take plutonium, which is the 94th element, and that's Pu. And if you take lanthanum, which is 57, and moon equals 57, so you sprinkle some lanthanum with the plutonium, that gives you 151. 57 plus 94 is 151, and Jesus Christ equals 151. And then you're left with Pu, plutonium, La, lanthanum, and that's an anagram of Paul.
I see.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's interesting.
So you've got the Apostle Paul and Jesus Christ there.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, that's definitely interesting. I mean, I'm gonna look more into King Charles anyway, just because of all this, what you've been saying. Like, just the number wise, I'm gonna look more into it. So, I mean,
Yeah.
and even the year he was born. Okay, so when I did all this decoding on King Charles, or sorry, when I did all the decoding on Aleister Crowley, I noticed a huge connection with Crowley and Charles, and with Crowley and Trump, of course. But another thing with the 148, right? So the huge number with Crowley is 418, which is an anagram of 148.
Yeah.
So 148, and look at this. I didn't even know this. Americium has 148 neutrons. So there again, so not only when you add the elements I am, you get 148, but the am itself has 148 neutrons. And of course, the two elements together equal 148. And this is a huge number with the upcoming election this year, because I did a whole decode on Morning Star and how it equals 148, and how the Guy Fawkes Day equals 148. And of course, the election this year is on Guy Fawkes Day.
And he's born 13th of April, isn't it? So that's like pi as well. 314.
Guy Fawkes?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's born on the 13th of April.
Yeah, that's your 143. Yeah. But yeah, just this 148 combination. I mean, whether you anagram it or not, the 418, Aleister Crowley with the 418 or the 148. And then you have this movie called 1408. So, and look, it even has the 95. Has the 95 here.
Yeah. Well, the Welsh word for God is dew, D-U-W. So you've got the word mountain dew, like mountain being the brain, and D-U-W just on its own is the Welsh word for God, and that gives you 48. And then if you take the English word G-O-D and add that, so add G-O-D, because, you know, Welsh and English is a mirror, then you get 74, which is Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's Jesus. Yeah.
Yeah. Has a Trump connection too. It has the 29, 25, 88 like Trump.
Whoa.
You know, the I am, you know, we just had the Popeye actress die, and of course Robin Williams, she died several years ago, but you know, Popeye's motto is I am what I am, what I am.
Yeah. And
then
this to me is one of the biggest parts of this that a lot of people miss. I think that the I am is way bigger than people understand. When God in the Bible says, say that I am, he's saying to, in my opinion, he's saying, I am that I am. So he's saying that every time you talk about yourself and you use the I am in front of the sentence, because everyone that talks about themselves on this entire planet says I am. And every time you do that, you're saying, I am. And God's saying, I am that I am. There is no you. I am that. There is no really you. I could wipe you out. Like, that's kind of what I get from it. Like the burning bush and and even when you take that verse and you do the gematria of it, it equals pi. It equals 314. And so that's why I started looking into the I am. And there's a whole YouTube channel I follow that's always talking about the I am and what it is before you add anything else. After you add anything else to the I am, it's like, it's just important. I want to do a whole video on that, but.
Well, let me tell you, I did a video on the I am on my YouTube channel, and I never published it. I have it set to private. I did it probably about 3 or 4 years ago, and I didn't narrate it myself. I just kind of made a number video because I am is the 9th and 13th letter, and it's pretty interesting when you start looking at all the the numbers, the 9 and 13 and stuff. But maybe when I do my next video, I'll take that video off of private and show you guys what I put in there. But yeah, I've been looking at that I am for quite a while, especially with its connection to the 913, the 9th letter and 13th letter. So, but yeah, that I am it's like us, I mean, it's like, yeah, I like your take on that.
Well, yeah, there's a whole YouTube channel I've been following for a while. His name is Rupert Spira. He talks about God's being, the being of God, basically the I am being the affirmation of God, essentially. And probably why the Bible in that verse where, you got to think about it. It's the only verse in the Bible where somebody asks God to tell them his name,
Yeah,
Moses,
it's Exodus 3:14. Yep. So it's like your pi connection, right?
Yeah, and like Moses literally asked God to say, "What's your name?" Like that's what he's asking him there. Like so he's talking to this burning bush, right? And he's saying, "What's your name?" And the answer he gets is not "My name is God" or "My name is this." He gets "I am that I am," which if you make sense of it, he's saying, "I am that I am." It's kind of a tongue twister, but I think if you take it to the original Hebrew, you probably might find it's written a bit differently, but it also ties back to the Tetragrammaton also. So that's where I did a whole video on the Tetragrammaton, but I am equals 23. That's right. Visionary Vet says I am equals 23. And 23 is also an interesting number because there's the 23 Enigma. That's a 23 Enigma. But yeah, there's something interesting.
It's also the 23rd letter is W, which is like a crown, and W is related to Wales. And when we're talking about the law, being under the law, like if you kind of know the truth and you've become spiritually reborn in the truth and you know it, then you shouldn't be under the law. And law backwards is WAL, which is the first 3 letters of Wales. And again, that's what I'm saying is it's like the true history and like the true laws and things like that, they've just been completely destroyed and lost and buried and stuff like that. So it's trying to resurrect that truth.
God backwards is dog, and there's a popular brand of dog food called IAMS, IAMS. I just thought that was funny.
Dog food, yeah, God food.
Oh, wow. That's a good one. Let me just look that up because that's interesting. IAMS. Dog food? Huh. Wow. Yeah, that adds a whole nother layer to what I'm thinking. Because you're right. I mean, dog backwards is God. IAMS.
It was
That's
interesting
crazy.
at the Olympics. We had Snoop Dogg carry the torch. The Dog Star connection. But if you look up the Bohemian stars, the 15 Bohemian stars, Sirius, the plant that it's connected to is the juniper. And the juniper, of course, is what is used to make gin, has that gin flavor. So, I mean, if you think about Snoop Dogg's, gin and juice song, he's not, he's using an esoteric connection, in his song to the Dog Star, and he's Snoop Dogg, and he's using that Bohemian star, the connection there with the juniper and the gin. So, yeah, there's a lot of these people, they know what they're doing. They have a little bit of education on what's going on, so they kind of integrate it into their music, and of course movies are super coded. So, but yeah, I always thought that was interesting with Snoop Dogg and the torch.
Hey,
Snoop
Cody, have
Dogg-
you had a chance to cover the serious connections to Shohei Ohtani? I thought that was pretty fascinating. Sean and you covered that pretty extensively. And just to add on to that, I think I mentioned it to you and Sean. Scooby, as in Scooby Doo, has that 595 mantra, like how serious
Yeah.
595.
Yeah, you said
Yeah.
that. When you said that, I laughed because, of course, Scooby has the 595.
And the do as well, Scooby Doo. The do is God again in Welsh.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
That's
when
a
you
good
say like
point.
I do, it's like I God.
Uh-huh. That's a good point. Yeah, that and just think about it too. Going back to the Sirius thing, Sirius is the dog star, so you could say it's the God star because it's the dog backwards, right? But
Yeah.
like Americium, which is the I am, has the 95. And the weight of Americium is 243. Well, if you type in heliacal rising of Sirius, it equals 243. And that's of course, what they call the heliacal rising of Sirius equals 243. And then you're saying that the American element has the 95 and the 243 in its numbers, which is Sirius. And
That would be Sirius and Venus, because Venus has a 243-day rotational period, and of course Sirius is 95. And I think a date to keep in mind is the date August 12th or August 11th of 2025, because there's going to be a Sirius Venus Jupiter conjunction on that day. And this is something that 7-1 and I talked about, is how America will turn exactly 21 Jupiter years old on that day.
how much again?
21 Jupiter years old exactly on August 12th of next year. And keep in mind that where that conjunction is happening is the middle degree of Cancer, which is the exaltation degree of Jupiter. And Rambo's done a lot of work on how Jupiter is kind of the premier god of the Roman Empire, and we're kind of like modern Rome or modern Babylon, I guess.
Right.
Yeah,
well, you
and
mentioned
Jupiter is the wood star, and then the Chinese zodiac is based off the 12-year cycle of Jupiter too.
Wood backwards is do again, which is God.
what is
backwards. Wood.
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 Oh yeah.
Yeah. Wood backwards is do,
Uh-huh.
which is God again.
Well, I want to go back to what Casey was saying real fast. Casey, you were saying that Americium connects to Sirius, which equals 95, like Americium, and the 243. Well, and then you said something about Venus, because Venus has the 243.
It takes Venus 243 days to make a rotation.
Right.
And there's another 243 connection that I'm not recalling right now to Venus, but yeah, sadly, I'm just not recalling it right now.
And that connects back to, in the mythologies, you probably already know this, but this Eos, which is Venus, pretty much. Well, it's not Venus, but I feel like it's the dawn goddess. So that's supposedly the mother of Sirius in the mythology. So, and Eos, Eosphorus, Phosphorus. There's a huge connection there, I think, with that. But
Well, what it
Eos,
goes back to is that Revelation 12 sign that 7 covered, because those transit cycles occur every 243 years. So
oh,
not
yeah.
only do you have the rotational period 243 days, you also have that in the cycle of the Venus transit when it appears to go across the surface of the sun. Yeah.
But look at this though too. I am that I am equals Sirius. I mean, come on now. The 95th element is a Americium. When you combine the I am elements, you get 95. And I am that I am equals Sirius. And that's the phrase that's in the King James Bible. That's exactly what it says when God says, I am that I am. So, and you know, they call it Halloween, right? All Hallows Eve, which that also has that 95. So, yeah, there's just something there with that. I am that I am equals Sirius.
You know, they call Venus, Earth's twin sister planet, which is interesting. It's the twin planet to Earth, and then it, of course, we're told that it has the most volcanic activity out of any of the planets in the solar system. So you have that volcano connection too.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I've been seeing interesting connections with volcano. I mean, I just think there is going to be some sort of volcano eruption in the world soon. Like, I feel like that's, unless it's symbolizing something else. But yeah, I've been thinking about looking more into just volcanoes in general, but I just haven't had time to do that.
The other John Cusack movie that has the volcano is I think it's 2012, where Woody Harrelson and John Cusack are at Yellowstone, and then the volcano explodes. It's just interesting that John Cusack, he has that JC initials, and then the Yellowstone volcano, and the Yellowstone is what Thanos was, the final stone for Thanos, the Yellowstone. And yeah, it's just interesting, all those kind of movie connections like that. And the 2012, like 9/11 is 212.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's funny you mentioned 2012 because I was looking into that movie. Did you see that on the day there was like a bit of an eruption in Yellowstone? It was on Woody Harrelson's birthday, and Woody Harrelson was in that movie 2012.
Oh yeah, I do remember that. Yeah, like an unexpected like geyser explosion or something like that. Or
Yeah, Woody Harrelson was in that 2012 movie, and he watched the explosion from Yellowstone. And then on his birthday, you have a story in the news about a geyser exploding in Yellowstone. I just thought it was pretty crazy. And who also was else in that movie 2012 that I didn't even realize until yesterday was, gosh, what's his name now? The guy that was in Donovan's Echo.
Cusack?
What's that?
John, was it Cusack in that? John Cusack? No?
Yeah, he was in wasn't he in 2012 too? Yeah.
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 I got booted off again. I wanted to throw another number out there real quick with go along with the 243s and the transit cycle, is that 243 years is equivalent to exactly 152 synodic cycles of Venus. Remember how the 152 is important to Catherine Zeta-Jones, Catherine Princess of Wales, and Kamala Harris.
Okay, interesting. What was the number again though? I didn't hear that.
Oh, it's the 152. So 243 years on Earth is equivalent to 152 Venus synodic cycles, which is 583.92 days. So that's the time
Okay.
it takes Venus to go from when it's say like when it's at maximum elongation as a morning star, another 500.
Casey. Sorry, you're cutting out. You're cutting out again, Casey.
I think you were thinking of Danny Glover, weren't you, Cody?
Yeah, that's who I was thinking of because Danny Glover was in. I've been looking at the bridge stuff, and you know, the day before that whole thing with Shohei Ohtani and the bridge collapse or the bridge fire in Canada, that was the anniversary of that movie called Donovan's Echo, and Donovan's Echo is all about a bridge collapse. So, and
Okay.
Danny Glover was in Donovan's Echo, and he was also in Angels in the Outfield. And Angels in the Outfield came out 10 days after Shohei Ohtani was born. And of course, Shohei Ohtani played for the Angels. So there's a whole riddle there with Danny Glover. Yeah, it seems like Casey dropped out. He was in the middle of telling me something. But yeah, anyway, guys, let me put the link. I wanted to get some more people on here. I know there was more people that wanted to join. I'm sorry, guys, I didn't put the link in there. Hey, Dr. Savage, you want to jump on? Joseph, Dr. Savage, anyone in the chat that wants to jump on. I want to see if we can get a few more faces on. Kind of missing Sean today. Sean's not available today to be on, but here's the link, everyone, in the chat. So in case anyone wants to. Anyway, so yeah, 7, what I was saying with the Danny Glover thing is it seems to be connected with Shohei Ohtani and his whole thing. But I need to look more into it and put out a decode on that. Pontiff means bridge builder. Yeah, I've talked about that several times. Pontiff means bridge builder. Dr. Savage is talking about Friday the 13th. Pi Day, Friday the 13th, 2025 is 13 weeks. From Trump's birthday to Friday the 13th is 13 weeks. From Friday the 13th to Taylor Swift's birthday is 13 weeks. Yeah, there's a whole thing with the 13. So John Cusack was in Hot Tub Time Machine. Didn't know that. Was he? He was also in that Cell movie. Yeah. Joseph was saying that. Cusack was in the Cell movie, and we just had the exploding cell phones or the exploding pagers. All right. Feel free to bring some other stuff up, you guys, if anyone has anything. Until some more people join. Casey Jones is back.
Yep. I don't know if you caught the end of that. What I was saying is talking about the synodic cycle of Venus. That's one thing that Derek doesn't have on his planetary calculator. But it's about 584 days. So it's similar to the phases of the moon. You know how that's synodic cycle of the moon or a synodic month. It has to do with the brilliance of the moon. So when the moon's opposite of the sun, it appears to be full. And like when Venus is at maximum, its furthest distance away from the sun, in the mornings, it's the morning star. It's at maximum elongation. And it takes 584 days for that to come back around to that position. So.
Yeah, and I heard what you said too about the 143 or the 152. Yeah.
Yeah, so they take 152 of those cycles is equivalent to 243 years, which is the transit cycle of Venus. So.
Right. Yeah, I think you mentioned to me that before because I was connecting that 152 with Kamala Harris and her Venus connections. And yeah, that's interesting. I mean, the the 152 is always coming up too with her, and so it makes sense why it would also have that connection.
Oh, one more thing. I was looking at my video I made with the IM. So IM is 9 and 13. Well, the 9th prime times the 13th prime is 943. And if you search, the word Jesus appears in 943 verses in the Bible.
Oh, really?
The word Jesus appears 983 times, but in 983 times in 943 verses. So those two numbers are super important to the Bible: 943 and 983.
I have to keep that in mind because, I mean, I did those. I think Sean might have told me that actually, but I never remember what some of those bigger numbers. I have a hard time remembering sometimes, but I'll have to remember those.
It's interesting as well, like the US, like US equals 40. And I think, I'm pretty sure it's like another truth hidden in plain sight. Like 2020 was a mega year. 20 plus 20 is 40. And if you think that, a lot of people say Jesus died at 33. I mean, I'm pretty certain it's 40 just by kind of just decoding like the truth hidden in plain sight. It's like Jesus was tempted in the wilderness for 40 days and 40 nights. So he obviously didn't know he was Jesus during this time. And 40 days, day as a year, that gives you 40 years. So it's kind of showing that he was 40 years old when he was actually crucified.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, because I have noticed the 40 being connected with Jesus a lot too, so it wouldn't surprise me.
Jesus ends in US as well, which is 40. And then before there was a J, before the J made it into, the alphabet and stuff like that, especially in Welsh as well, we don't use the letter J. So it's a Y. So it would be Jesus, and that would be yes, US. So yes, 40. Yes, 40 years old.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, definitely a big number, that 40. Something I see often. I think US, yeah, even if you do USA,
yeah,
it actually equals 40 in reverse gematria.
If you take US, like you've got the UAP, right? So if you take UAP and then you put that in and you mirror it, you get PAU.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you add an L, you get Paul. And then if you take USA and you unscramble that and you add an L, you get Saul. And if you take the word America, it equals 50, and that equals Paul. So that gives you the Paul-Saul connection and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, going back to your 40 though too, United States equals 40, USA equals 40. So yeah, I mean, we just had WrestleMania 40.
I think the X eclipse was like basically showing the promised land.
Mm-hmm. The promised land. Yeah, I just wanted to see something. Because you were talking about how the alphabet doesn't have the J's.
Yeah.
And this cipher here that I've been using, the Francis Bacon cipher, it's the cipher that takes that into consideration. It doesn't give. Mm-hmm. It pretty much makes J and I the same essentially because it combines them and they have the same value.
And
so
that would be the Welsh name Yesu as well.
Yeah. So
Mercury has that 40 and 41 combination, like USA.
Right. Mm-hmm. And Halloween.
And they say no one knows the day or the hour, and that's because it's not a time. Like day is D is the fourth letter, A is the first letter, And if you took y in full reduction, so you know it's all reduced, that becomes the 25th letter, so 7. So that's 417. 41 is king, 7 the river Severn, king of the river Severn.
Right. Interesting. Yeah, I just find yeah, I definitely liked the way you do, you know, with the word plays and stuff. It's definitely something I like to. It's something to think about for sure, especially with all these different languages and how English is taken over and how it was a created coded language and
It was coded off of Welsh.
mhm.
So when you take the word Christianity, the ty on the end, t means house in Welsh. So Christianity is house of the Christian.
You know what I think is interesting about Wells is the modern depiction of witches derives from Welsh attire, and so I just I kind of associate Wells with magic, I guess.
Yeah.
And magic
Wales.
gives you the 417 as well, because M's 113, which is 4, A1, and G7, so that gives you the 417 at the beginning, and then IC, so IC 417.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you got me interested to look more into Wales for sure. Definitely.
Yeah, you could just learn some of the basics. Just learn some of the basic words in Welsh, and you'll be amazed.
Uh-huh. Yeah, interesting that Wales has the 60. We're coming up on the
And neo
60th presidential election.
and
Hey,
neo
Paul, what do you think about that, Paul? About the witches of Wales? I know, like during the witch trials,
yeah.
Wales had very few witch casualties, you might say, compared to other countries because they were um, they were more accepted in that country. That's from what I've read.
Well, I'm not 100% sure about that, to be honest. I think there's a lot of witchcraft going on, and it's blinding the eyes of people, to be honest. So, like, interesting thing is the word for witch. Like, if you were saying like which one, like the word for witch in German is welche, but it starts with a W, welche. So
Belkis.
yeah, and you could pronounce that Welsh, so it's the Welsh witch. When you kind of go between the languages, you begin to see a pattern.
Yeah,
Welsh witch.
I'm in the process of learning German right now, so yeah, it does remind you of the word for witch does remind me of the Welsh word for sure. So is this is this how you actually spell this in Welsh, right?
Yeah, and the
Hey,
80th the 80th element is Mercury, which is
hey,
recombering.
look at this!
Mercury is
Look at this
160.
713. When the Trump assassination attempt was July 13th. Saturn is 713 in Hebrew gematria, and Kamala that day she had a Mercury age. You remember? I forget what it was, but she turned the Mercury age that day.
An
You
anagram,
know,
an anagram of Cymru is mercy as well.
but Kamala Harris has that 10/20 birthday. It's either witch or witchcraft that has the 10/20 gematria.
Yeah. Well, the
Right.
witchcraft is like keeping you away from Wales. It's keeping you away from the true knowledge. So that's basically like what these witches and Satan are doing. Is they're
Yeah.
trying to hide the truth, and the truth will set you free.
It is interesting that this how do you say this word?
Cymru.
Cymru.
Yeah.
Cymru. So that has the 26 and 55 like God. So that's interesting.
Yeah.
And the 80, I mean 80 is like
Mercury, the 80th element.
yeah, that's what he was just saying. The 80 Mercury is the 80th element. So
And if you type out Mercury, that gives you 103. So that's 10-3, which 10 is J and 3 is C, Jesus Christ.
Jimmy Carter.
And the 40 and the 41.
Interesting.
You know, it's kind of interesting too that there's been a couple movies like Star Trek where they have to go back in time and save the whales, and then Free Willy, he has to free the whale, and
Yeah.
and then Wales has the dragon on their flag, which is interesting. We're in a dragon year, and
Yeah, and Wales
Dragon's
is an anagram.
59. It was adopted in 59.
Yeah. Wales, change the W to a V, VW, the Volkswagen kind of interchange, and then you get slave. Slaves to Satan.
Yeah, I mean, this one thing about the Wales thing, I mean, especially this year, I mean, it's the dragon on the flag, and we're in the dragon year, and dragon equals Mercury. So you have dragon has that 103 like Mercury.
It's Charles. That red dragon is it's his bloodstained skin hidden in plain sight. He is the red dragon.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's gonna get toasted.
So how long do you think do you think he'll so you obviously don't think he's going to pass away soon from his cancer, right?
Well, I don't even think he has cancer. I think what he's saying is that he has spiritual cancer. Like he's doomed. Yeah. He knows what time it is.
Yeah. That makes sense.
It's like no man knows the day or the hour, because day is basically 41-7. So that's the king of the 7. And the hour, you've got 60 minutes in an hour, and 60 equals Wales. So the Welsh king's going to take his head off. As his picture shows, see, you can just see his head's off. You can just see his head floating.
Yeah.
So he'll probably get executed quite soon, I'd imagine.
Interesting.
The father
Yeah,
of
I mean,
lies.
I remember this painting too. They found that had that Baphomet or whatever hidden in it. If you mirror it.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah. That.
What more do people want?
When was that? When did he release that?
That was 2024. So I think it was like about June time or something, like May, June.
Yeah, I did a video on it. I just can't remember the date that was revealed. Speaking of, he was born on 11/14.
11 is Jesus and 14 is Paul.
14, 1948. Yeah, I mean, you got that whole. Oh wow, he was exactly 909 months old when monkeypox was declared.
Yeah, and he looks a bit like a chimpanzee, doesn't he? You look at his skull.
Yeah, a bit. Yeah.
Definitely not human, guys.
Looks like about 95 days into the dragon year was the release. I'm getting 5:15 for the portrait unveiling.
Oh yeah, that's right. I remember that now. I looked at that. 95. There's that 95.
There we go.
Huh.
We're honing in. We're lighting up the target.
Well, I did find some crazy stuff when it came to this Dragon Year, because the Dragon Year started on February 10th. And what was it? There was something I found that was pretty crazy with that, but I don't remember now. I need to go
Yeah,
back and
that
watch.
922 date that Bobby's looking at is 225 days into the Dragon Year, and that's that Venus number, that Venus year into the Dragon Year.
Wait, what date is it?
The 922 date that Bobby's
Oh,
talking about tomorrow.
yeah.
Yep, with a 325 Mercury years old for Donald Trump.
Mm-hmm.
Windsor gives you 102, which is your 201 backwards again.
Let's see here. Oh, interesting. I never even looked at this. Huh. So on the day of the Dragon Year starting this year, King Charles was 27,481. It has your 418 in there again. But that number is the 3003rd prime number. And 3003 is the 77th triangular number. So, well, 77, of course, is Christ. Yeah, that's
And then
interesting.
you add the River 7 as well, another 7, you get 777.
Yeah. Well, the year was, yeah. That's interesting. I'll have to think more about that, because the day, I mean, obviously it connects because it's the Dragon Year, and he was the king of the Wales, which has the dragon, and
But interesting thing as well is the Welsh word daragon. Daragon is prophecy. And for some reason, there's the word dragon, which is, the dragon that we're more familiar with.
yeah.
You know what's interesting, the symbolism. The HBO series House of the Dragon. They were cut short this year. They were short. Their season was shortened, and their budget was cut. So I mean, you just think about the symbolism there. Cutting the season short and cutting the budget of the dragon. So you kind of have that. I don't know. This kind of reminded me of that when you guys were talking about it.
Yeah. I mean, that House of the Dragon was super tied to Obama, though, too. That House of the Dragon thing. Because that show this year, House of the Dragon, ended on Obama's birthday, and it well, first of all, House of the Dragon equals Barack Hussein Obama. I think Joseph would be able to remind me, but yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, House of the Dragon equals Barack Hussein Obama II. Joseph's all over it. But yeah, with going back to King Charles, though, I mean, he is the descendant of Dracula, supposedly. So, I mean, I don't know how much more you get tied to a dragon than that.
Yeah, I think Casey was backstage for you, but yeah, Dracula, vampire, parasites, sucking the blood and all that stuff. That's kind of the world we live in. We're all, they parasite off of our energy.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't think he's been ruling for like 3 years. He's been ruling for a lot longer than that, from the shadows. See.
Yeah. I mean, what was I gonna say? Oh, with the whole dragon thing too. This year, the Super Bowl had a commercial of the Wrexham Red Dragons, which is the Welsh team, right out of Wrexham.
Yeah.
And
then you've got Deadpool, Ryan Reynolds,
yeah,
isn't it?
Ryan Reynolds, yeah, and that was all synced up with the Red Dragon, and because the guy that he played that commercial was Anthony Hopkins, who played the Red Dragon, who played in the Red Dragon movie, where they eats people, Hannibal Lecter. So
Yeah.
there's a huge sync with that too, you know.
And he's wearing. You can see in the picture there. He's wearing a tan-coloured coat, and tan is fire in Welsh, and obviously Anthony. You see. So I mean, like even the clothes that they wear, and you know, like when he wears like feathers in his cap and stuff like that. You know, you see the Indian tribes, and the chief's got like the feathers going around his head, hasn't he? That's kind of like
Yeah.
represent like the aura and things like that. So they try to copy Christ's, you know, hand of God aura kind of thing. They're just you know, mimics, copies, frauds. Like the word charlatan. Like I know, you know, you've probably heard of Angelina and Brad, like Brad, and then they fuse it together, you get Brangelina. Well, you've got the word charlatan, a fraud, charlatan, which is a fusion of Charles and Satan, the charlatan king, the fake king, you know.
Yeah. But you know, I find it funny. He in this picture here, he does look like a monkey. He almost reminds me of this monkey from Planet of the Apes. That's Caesar.
Exactly, Caesar. That's what I'm saying. This is him. This is the evil one.
Because if you look at the picture of the monkey from that movie that the newer ones, let's hold on. Caesar, Planet of the Apes. I don't know. Maybe I'm seeing things, but yeah, I don't know. I just feel like there's a bit of a resemblance.
No, you're not seeing anything. You're bang on.
Yeah, especially like this picture.
Yeah. Bloodthirsty. Like his stained skin
Yeah.
suggests.
Yep. So is anyone else? I just wanted to see if we could get a few new faces in here. I'm glad Paul joined us, but I'm hoping to get a few new faces in here. Is there anything you want to share, Seven?
No, I mean you guys are doing well. Like I said, you're getting back into this monkey theme with it, which I think is, you know, something worth looking into. And you know, Planet of the Apes, you know, the big reveal in Planet of the Apes is that the astronauts were on Earth the whole time, right? Because they find the Statue of Liberty, you know, and the Statue of Liberty came from France, and you know, the Statue of Liberty is chained, and you know, I mean, there's just all kinds of symbolism there. So, but yeah, I just was, you know, and Apep, the Egyptian deity Apep, is, you know, darkness and disorder, which is the opposite of order and truth and light. So yeah, I mean, there's just so many other levels here to explore. But yeah, you guys you're doing a good job. So I just just put my 2 cents in today.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming on for sure. So,
how Dragon is 103.
what is? Sorry.
Dragon is 103, right? In the wellness side.
Right. Yeah, Dragon.
Just like Mercury, and then Kamala Harris turned 248 Mercury years old on that 7/13 date, and then we have Trump turning 325 tomorrow, and I know Paul was talking about a 777. I did a measurement from the Red Bridge to the Golden Gate Bridge, and it's 777 nautical miles. I just want to throw that out there.
Oh, like an actual measurement on the map.
Yeah, you go to like Google Earth, and you can do a measurement, and it'll show 777 nautical miles.
Huh. Well, that's interesting. It lands exactly on the 777, huh?
If you take the word king, you've got key and then NG, which is 14.7. So 14 is 7-7. So, you know, the energy, NG, so that gives you another 777 in there as well in the King code.
Uh-huh. Let's see. Trying to get some people in the I know there's got to be some people brave enough also to jump on and share. All you guys in the comments, you guys share amazing stuff, but no one ever jumps on.
Yeah, you got to get Dr. Savage to jump on. He's always got something nice to say.
Yeah, I'm hoping he could jump on, but I don't know how much longer I'm going to make the stream tonight because I don't know. I don't want to be keeping my neighbors up too long. But it is a Saturday night, so I don't think it matters so much.
Hey, Cody, I wanted to throw another forecast out there. I was talking about this with 7-1, I think yesterday. On September 26th, it will be exactly 285 lunar months after 9/11. And that's interesting because that is the current address of the One World Trade Center, 285 Fulton Street.
Oh.
And that's, you know, that's a pretty lunar coded date because it's 269, right? The 57th prime. Moon's 57. And in non-leap years, that's also the 269th day of the year.
Well, you were mentioning the 285, and I thought that was interesting because the day that Trump got his second attempt on him, well, I guess it wasn't that exact day. It was close. He was almost 285 days, 285 days old. Like one more day he would have been. So,
You know, in cymatics, you know, the frequency and vibration, 285 hertz is the flower of life. So that's another interesting connection to the 285. It makes that, you know, that flower of life kind of, you know, I think it's 6 points, the circle or whatever. Yeah. So that's another 285.
Is it the One World Observatory? Like, isn't there a 1377 in there somewhere? Or am I just imagining?
You're right. It's 1,377 feet is like the observatory. Yep, I think I think you're right.
That's the big, you know, that's your area of expertise, you know, the 1377 and one.
Yeah, and then I think that 926 date, maybe it's 928, but the movie Twins is turns 13,077 days old, either on 926 or 928. You know, you're talking about Arnold Schwarzenegger and stuff, you know, and then Arnold Schwarzenegger was in the movie Conan the Barbarian with James Earl Jones, and he was Thulsa Doom, you know, the snake. Yeah,
so. They just had that story about the woman from Thailand being strangled by a python or a boa constrictor.
Yep. Yeah. You know, and that's my first, like I told you yesterday, you know, my first memory of James Earl Jones is from Conan the Barbarian. You know, I had no idea that he was Darth Vader in Star Wars until years after. You know, and I probably had no business watching any of those movies when I was a kid, but that's, you know, Gen X seemed to be raised on all those movies. So,
talking about cymatics as well, like it begins with a CY, which as does cyber, like a cyber attack and stuff like that, begins with CY, the same as CY for Cymru. And like I said, Cymru is like an ancient language. So the etymological root of those words comes from Wales.
Well, that's at 325 too. That date tomorrow, 325 Mercury years, 325 is CY.
Yeah, and CY is 3-7 as well. C and then 25, 7. So it starts with these 3 times 7, 777s.
I was, you know, tomorrow being the Mercury day for Trump, and I noticed he'll be also 2859. Isn't 859 Jesus Christ? Hold on. Or is that, am I thinking backwards? I think it's backwards. 985, isn't it? Or Jesus. 985.
985 Latin?
Yeah, 985 in Latin, but this 589 combination is so big. That's why I chose my last 3 digits to be the 589, because I see this number all the time, and I mean, Jesus equals 985, which is the reverse of 589. And yeah, so there's a whole thing with that, but I just found it interesting that tomorrow he'll be 2859 on his Mercury thing, and that's the 266th day of the year. So 266 being the current Pope is the 266th Pope, and Isus Hominum Salvator, doesn't that equal 266? But then, so the Golden Gate, right? I did a whole video on this, but the Golden Gate moved from the 266th degree of the ecliptic to the 267th degree. So I'm just wondering if we get, and don't forget, this day, September 23rd, is the opposite day on the calendar of the eclipse this year. So I'm wondering if they have something planned for that. Like maybe everyone was all over the eclipse date, but what if something goes down on the opposite day of the eclipse, because the eclipse was on the 99th day of the year and it was 267 remaining. So that means that 923 is that opposite date. And this 267 is the area code for Philadelphia, and Philadelphia, well, look at that. Trump will be 101 days after his birthday, and Philadelphia equals 101. So, and that's the Philadelphia area code. It's 267. Who's playing on Monday Night Football this Monday Night Football? Huh? See if I can find it here. Hold on, guys. And that's interesting too, because on September 11th, it was the Eagles and the Falcons. I just need to check out the NFL schedule. It's not coming up for me. That's
Hey
not what I
Cody,
want.
I'm gonna jump off here, Cody.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, thanks for having me on here again, and yeah, I'll talk to you guys later.
Okay, yeah, thanks for coming on, and hopefully we'll be able to do it again soon. So take care. All right, so we'll do a little bit longer if no one wants to. Seems like everything's kind of drying up. So if no one wants to add anything, are you there?
Oh yeah, I'm back. I should have a better connection now.
Yeah, I'm going to jump off now, Cody. It's great speaking to you. Keep up the faith in that. Thanks for the live stream.
Yeah, man. Thanks for coming on, and hopefully we can do it again soon. So.
Yeah, cheers, buddy. Nice one, Cody.
All right, see ya.
I got about another 30 minutes if you want to go. I don't know, you want to go another 20, 30 minutes.
Yeah, and like I said, guys, let me see if we can get a few more people on here for the last 30 minutes here. Come on, I know there's got to be somebody in the chat that wants to jump on.
Hey Cody, real quick, can you check out the gematria for Witch?
Which?
Yeah, WITCH. See the 1020?
Yeah.
And just like Kamala. And then I'm pretty sure that Witchcraft is also 1020 in the extended cycle.
Yeah, witchcraft, yeah, is 1020, yeah. I think it's in Sumerian.
Oh, Sumerian.
No, it isn't standard. You're right. Standard
Oh.
witchcraft. Yeah, that's super interesting. Witchcraft and witch both have that 10-20. Kamala Harris. So Monday Night Football is the Falcons and the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Oh, no. No, it's the Bills. It's the Bills and the Jaguars. So yeah, I don't know. There might be something there with that, but it is interesting. This date coming up, the opposite day on the calendar of the eclipse.
I think Sean was saying some things about 923. I know. Rambo's done some work on that day. Typically, that's the autumnal equinox, and I know LeBron James is 923 in the Latin cycle. I think,
Yeah, and you know, there was a 923 I found too with hold on. Yeah. Sirius the dog star equals 923.
Oh, yeah, I think that's probably something Rambo. I would bet that's something Rambo has covered.
And not only that, but the pitcher that Shohei Ohtani hit his last home run off of was, what was that guy's name, man? His last name equals 923 in the same cipher as Sirius the dog star. Hold on. Let me see if I can find it. And of course,
17.
yeah, right here. Brujan. Brujan was the pitcher that Shohei Ohtani hit his home run off of.
Yeah.
And of course, LeBron James, he's from Ohio, which is connected to Sirius, we know now, and he plays in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, because Ohio's 17th state.
And, you know, of course, we can't forget that most times every year there's always people talking about September 23rd because it's always encoded in 923 in movies. Let's see if it comes up.
That's typically the 266th day of the year. Well.
Yeah, so I'm just wondering, maybe this is the year we get something on 923. Number 923 in movies. Yeah, you guys probably have already seen that, most of you guys, so I don't know all the films. I have to go back and watch again, like these videos about all the 923 stuff, but you know what's interesting about 923 too is if you do it the other way, 23-9 is the 52nd prime. So there's probably maybe something there. Maybe something with the Pope. I don't know. Being the 266, next Pope would be the 267th. So.
You know, with the equinox coming up tomorrow, you know, Rambo's done a lot of work on talking about how the equinoxes represent the wall, and you know, of course, Harris's running mate is Tim Walls, and yeah, so maybe there'd be something been used to do with that. I think he talks too with the autumnal equinox being a Hiram Abiff, you know, Hiram Abiff connection there.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is he releasing that on his Patreon?
Yeah, it'd be on his Patreon. You know, I recommend anybody. The Truth Codes is his Patreon name, and it's just $5 a month. I mean,
you know, that's the thing is I've been signed up for his Patreon, but I keep forgetting to actually go on there. I subscribed to it a few months ago. Even though my money's a bit tight, I've I've been subscribing to him, but I keep forgetting to go over there and check his stuff out because I just get busy and then I forget. But yeah, I need to go over there and look. But I also wanted to maybe have him on a stream at some point. And I forgot to reach out, but hopefully maybe one day I can get him on here.
Yeah. I know. Yeah, I think you just have to reach out to him. I think he'd be up for coming on to a stream.
Yeah, that would be amazing to have him on.
I think he has his email. I'm pretty sure is thetruthcodes@gmail.com.
Okay. Yeah, another thing I realized here with 923, well, 23 is the 9th prime, so makes sense.
Yeah.
And Trump will be, well, on this thing, it actually says Trump will still be exactly 325 Mercury years on that day as well, because it doesn't change the day yet. So,
hey, Hiram Abiff has 152 gematria in the Latin. But it's kind of wild.
oh, really? Huh.
Yeah, just checking that out. Yeah, I think with the think about the 23 and the 9, and then the 9th triangular number being 45. When Michael Jordan came out of retirement, he wore the number 45, and of course he's known for wearing the number 23. And his dad died on the date of the Heliacal series, July 23rd, and Rambo like to talk about I think it was
You still there? Did I lose you?
Hello?
Yeah, I hear you
Hello?
now. I lost you for a minute.
Oh man, yeah, I was just talking about the 23 and the 9 and Michael Jordan. Did you catch that?
I caught like the very beginning. The very beginning.
Oh man. Well, yeah, so when Jordan came out of retirement, he wore the number 45, which is the 9th triangular number. And like you said, 20. He's more well known for wearing the 23. And Miley Cyrus had the 23 jersey, and there was like a dog connection there. And then when they announced the starting lineup for the Bulls, when Jordan played, the song that they played was the Alan Parsons Project song "Serious," right? That number 923, I think, has a
Really?
serious connection as well. Yeah.
Yes, you're cutting out again a bit. Every time you get to an important point, you cut out.
Man, yeah, rural Tennessee. That's how to do it for you.
Hello?
Oh yeah, I'm still here. I was just connecting Michael Jordan to Sirius.
Oh, okay,
Right.
yeah. You're cutting out a few times, so
I got you.
but yeah, I get what you're saying though, like with the 923, and but that's a good point because it's crazy too that LeBron James equals 923 in that Latin, and of course he wore the number 23 too, and now he wears the number 6.
Oh, okay.
So like so LeBron James wears the upside down 923, the 623.
Yeah.
Let's see. Let me see what people are saying. 9/17/24 train derailment. There was a train derailment, huh? In Muleshoe, Texas, at 9:45, huh? Well,
I
that
was thinking about that. Oh, sorry.
No, I was just going to say this 9:45. I did a whole video about connected to Trump. He turns 9:45 months old on the Pi eclipse next year.
Oh, nice. I know too. that date, 9/17. I always talk about that date being the most mercurial date on the calendar. It's during the time of Virgo, and Virgo is ruled by Mercury. That date can be written 17/9, and that's the 41st prime number. Mercury is 41, and typically it's the 260th day of the year, and those are some of the cross sections of the magic square of Mercury. But not only that, it also is a day that has 105 days remaining in the year. Gemini is 105, which is the other sign that's ruled by Mercury. And Mercury is known as being the messenger. Messenger has that 105 gematria as well. And I know Dan Barrett, he likes to talk about LeBron James being in that movie Trainwreck. So, yeah, so it kind of ties those topics in together, the 923 and LeBron James and the train derailment.
Yeah, Ouroboros also has that 105, which is interesting.
I think Rambo did a live the other day, and they were talking about I can't think of Amon Ra. There's a player called Amon Ra. He was talking about the Osiris ritual, how Osiris gets cut up into 14 pieces, and that may actually be what the 923 is about. I can't remember, but that's Amon Ra's number is 14, and we're in the 105th NFL season. Well, 105 is the 14th triangular number. So,
right. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. It might go back to that 14 because in Chaldean gematria, God equals 14.
Nice. I know Zach. I remember Zach. He always talks about 14 marking the end of a cycle because END is 14 reduction. So you got 5, 5, and 4, right? 14.
Right. Yeah. The word end has a lot of 14s.
Okay.
Or no, sorry, dead. So end equals 14 and dead equals 14.
Oh, nice.
See, dead equals 14 and 14 and on so many ciphers.
Yeah.
And then, so the word dead end, you have dead and end.
Okay.
You both have 14. But what's interesting is the word end actually equals I am.
Yeah.
Wow, that's almost a perfect match. I am equals end. Never noticed that.
Yeah, I know. Seven. He did a video. Like, I think he used the alpha, maybe the iota and omega, and he stacked them, and they kind of resemble the Eiffel Tower. I don't remember which video that was, but I don't, for some reason when I hear I am, I think about alpha and omega. Maybe that's kind of an ADHD thing.
Yeah, well, I remember watching a video where he was talking about that.
Yeah, I guess because he says I am the alpha and the omega.
Right.
In Revelation.
Did you see? Well, we were talking about Michael Jordan, and I typed in Scottie Pippen for some reason. I don't remember why. But
yeah.
Well, Scottie Pippen is currently on Twitter, always talking about releasing if this is the real Scottie Pippen, that is, he's always talking about releasing a basketball from 33 years ago, the game ball from 33 years ago, and he's tokenizing it on the blockchain, so like it's a crypto thing, and he wears the number 33, of course. And Yeah, here it is. 33 years later, the game-winning ball from 1991 NBA Finals never left my side. Charge combining sports legacy with crypto. Look at how he has the dogs. And of course, crypto is very much known for dog coins. They have dog coins. So, but you see the 33 right there, the game ball from 33 years ago. Crazy. Well, it looks like Casey dropped out. So I guess, you know what, guys? I guess we'll go ahead and call it a call tonight, unless anyone else has anything else to share. Thank you, Sandy, for adding stuff in. I was watching your comments. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Sandy. Thank you, LD. Thank you, Brandon, Dirk, Visionary Vet. Yeah, thanks to all of you guys that have been in the chat. Thanks, Cozy. Thanks, Coffee Girl. Thanks, Gene Splice, Dr. Savage, Joseph Aquaviva. Much love, brother. So yeah, we'll call it a night, and wasn't the best Dekoders live stream, but Casey's back. Hold on a second. So Casey, I was just getting ready to hang it up because it's getting late here anyway. So
I got you.
we'll probably just hang it up. But
Yeah.
is there anything else
One
you want
thing I
to
will,
say?
yeah, I mean, I guess that you brought Scottie Pippen, I would say that, you know, it's interesting how the Last Dance came out on 4/19. I don't remember the exact year, but you know, that's the 81st prime, and that was the first day of Taurus. You know, Venus is 81. Taurus is ruled by the planet Venus. And then I know, of course, Scottie and Michael Jordan played for the Bulls. Again, Taurus, and then a year, I believe it was a year to the day later on 4/19. Again, it was the start of Taurus, and Scottie Pippen lost his son that day. Sure.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
I
Whenever
never
you're
really
out here,
looked much.
Scottie.
I never really looked much into him, but I was kind of interested because when I saw this whole thing with this game ball thing, and I could totally forgot he wore the number 33 too.
Oh
So,
yeah, I mean, my family, or I guess my father, I should say, he was pretty religious about watching the 90s Bulls, and I think, you know, I think we underestimate how much that impacted the culture. Like everybody, you know, they were playing basketball 24/7. I know I was. The opportunity I was playing basketball. I didn't have any business on basketball. I mean, you know, I'm tired and, you know, probably below athleticism, but you know, I was dedicated to basketball. Really, I really thought you know, I was at least going to play college. But I didn't even have the talent to even play at that level. I was just Michael Jordan. My generation. You know, you're just 3 years younger than me, so I'm sure yeah, back on you as well. But,
yeah, you were cutting out a lot, but I think I heard most of it. But
okay.
for some reason your connection was just going in and out. But yeah, you were talking about how you played basketball or something, right?
Oh yeah, I was just saying, you know, the '90s Bulls just had a huge impact on my generation as far as the popularity of basketball.
Right, exactly.
You know, yeah, I was kind of consumed with it, and it was kind of maybe probably to an unhealthy level. I really wish I could go back and dedicate my time to other things, you know. But
yeah, I was big into basketball as a kid too. It was like one of my first toys was a basketball, like a little basketball. But
I mean, but yeah, it's a good place to end, man. I don't want to hold you up. I know it's getting late over there, and wherever you are.
So
Yeah, we'll go ahead and call it a night. And thanks for coming on as usual. And thanks to everyone as usual in the chat for all your input. Hopefully more of you guys will come on next time we have one of these. I'd like to see some new faces. But yeah, we'll call it a night. I hope everyone out there has an amazing rest of your day. Have a good Saturday. Enjoy your family time with family and friends or whatever you guys are doing. And we will see you guys back here on the next video. So much love. God bless. See you.